Hi, my name is Megan Melton, and this is my reflection over Some Writer, the story of E.B. White. It was written and illustrated by Melissa Sweet with the help of E.B. White's granddaughter, Martha White, who donated some of their personal pictures and items of E.B. White's. The publisher is Houghton Mifflin. Copyright is 2016. It is a biography picture book. It has about 176 pages, and I would say it's good for ages 9, 10 years older or older, strong readers with a good comprehension, because there's a lot of words in this that they would have to really be able to understand. This is a book about Elwyn Brooks White, known to his family and friends as N, known to the reading world as E.B. White. He was born in 1899 near New York City. White loved spending time with his family in a lake in Maine. And this is what I love. The biography starts with Andy, we'll get to that later, was a small child. So when you look at this first page or so, you see E.B. White's family tree, and you also see a real photograph of his family in 1899. This is his mom and dad, and there were 6 brothers and sisters. As you read, start beginning, it has a quote by E.B. White, and then it also has a picture that I thought was a neat addition that Melissa Sweet did. It is a typewriter that E.B. White wrote all of his writings on. And for this generation, many do not know what a typewriter is, so I thought that was a neat addition to the biography. Throughout the story, she uses what looks like a typewriter print when she's typing. All the typewriter print is things that come right out of E.B. White's personal journal. So she uses that to also to kind of categorize what is his writing, and then which is separate from what she does. E.B. White became a writer when he was just 8 years old. His family and him are very, very close throughout the entire life that they have together. His mom, dad, and 6 children. His father worked at a piano company, and so the children spent a lot of time with him there. Though they couldn't play any instrument in the building, they had a fun time together, pretending to be the greatest orchestra known to man. And E.B. White's father really inspired him with his words and taught him how to be, to be able to face the world without fear or hesitation. And in the biography, there's actually a letter from E.B. White's father to him that is very, very sweet, and I'm sure, I can only imagine that E.B. White treasured it his entire life. It's a very sweet letter. Maine plays a huge part of the life that he lived. As a child, that's where he went every summer with his family, and he learned all the important things of life, like fishing and canoeing and just enjoying nature and the simple things in life. He knew that it didn't take a lot to be happy, and it didn't take a lot to have a family. And it's also there that E.B. begins to journal, which he didn't want to call it a diary because it kind of sounded, like the girly thing. So he called it a journal, and he began to write in this journal, and he would write in it every day for the next 20 years of his life. And so at the young age of 9, E.B. wins his first literary prize, and he continued to write about animals and things of nature that were so important to him. And after graduating high school, he attended Cornell University in Ithaca, New York, given the name Andy by his classmates, as I mentioned earlier. And so that came, sorry kiddos, Andy was the name that he would be known by to all of his closest family and closest friends. And he was named after the first president of Cornell, so he became Andy White. As Andy's writings became more and more popular, he really never wanted to be in the public eye. He liked the simple things in life of doing what he loved, but not really getting a lot of recognition for it, even though so many of his writings are very famous, and even as he was alive, they were famous, but he always wanted to stay out of the public eye. After after traveling the U.S. and working at many different newspaper companies, he landed a job in New York, and he wrote for the New Yorker, sorry. And that's where his first publishing by E.B. White was recognized. He only worked there 9 weeks before he was recognized for something that he wrote. Once as spring fell, he traveled back home, and on his road trip home, he fell asleep, and he had a dream of a mouse, and this mouse was fully dressed and very elaborate, and all types of things was going on with this little mouse. Well, when he got home, he wrote about what he dreamed, and he named the mouse Stuart Little, and then he put the story in a drawer, and then he would add to it ever so often throughout the years. And as we know where that story is going. But after working and writing all over the world and then going back home, he loved what he did with the New Yorker. So he went back to New York, and that's where he met his beloved Catherine Sargent Angel and fell in love. They were married. After her first marriage that wasn't so good ended, she had 2 children with her previous husband, but they didn't live with them, only during the summertime. But E.B. White and Catherine had 1 child together. They had a son named Joel. And Joel was truly a gift to E.B. He loved to be a dad, and he loved to experience life with his son and show him the things that his father and mother showed him throughout life. So they spent a lot of time themselves in Maine. That didn't make sense when I said it. In Maine. And so that is when one trip they went back to Maine, and they found their own plot of heaven, and they bought 40 acres for $11,000, and that is where E.B. White placed a barn, and he eventually adds a pig, he adds a dog, he adds a horse, he adds a cow, he adds all these sweet animals, even a sweet little rat. And this is where he is inspired initially for one of his most famous children's books, which is Charlotte's Web. But back to Stuart Little. He wasn't ready to publish Stuart Little, even though so many people were pushing him during World War II. They needed something. They needed something to inspire and bring forth. And so that's just what he did. He finally published Stuart Little again, but once it was published, there were many critics that did not like it, and so he did it anyways, because that's what his heart loved to do, and so he did. And though adults did not like it, children loved it. But what got him was the original text of Stuart Little. Stuart was born from a human mother, and that threw people into a loop, even though children really never thought about it. But later, he did change the text to say Stuart arrived at the Littles and not he was born. And so that is the story that we now know of Stuart Little. Then we move on to his next famous thing, which is Charlotte's Web. And so that was inspired by a pig that he had on his farm that passed away. And his most beloved dog that he writes about also passed away. And they're buried together. So one day he went to visit their grave. And on the way back to his barn, he saw a spider in the doorway. And he thought to himself, how can I relate saving of a pig and a spider? And so, therefore, Charlotte's Web was born. As E.B. White grew older, he still continued to write, but he didn't write as often. He decided that he wanted to enjoy as much life as he had with his beloved Catherine and his son Joel. And so he slowed down, but as he slowed down, Catherine became very ill, and he lost her in 1977, and he was so distraught he was not able to even attend her funeral. So after the funeral, and as time passed, he planted an oak tree at her graveside in memory of his beloved Catherine. And as years went by, E.B. White's health also started to fade, he was blinded in one eye, and then he developed dementia. And his sweet son Joel would visit him every day and read him the greatest writings he ever knew, which were his own. But the tragic side was E.B. White didn't even recognize that they were his own masterpieces. And he would always say, "That is a good one, that is a good one." And so the story goes on, and the biography ends with a sweet letter, I guess you could say, from his granddaughter that's included in this book. And it's just beautifully written, and it's a great way to honor her grandfather. But what I want to show you is this is truly like a picture book, and they're beautiful pictures. They're not only his personal writings, but can you see how Sweet creates a unique, almost collage effect of real objects, and her art almost has like a 3D effect to it. And it makes it look like you're reading a story out of somebody's personal scrapbook that they made sitting at their own kitchen table. So it truly grabs your attention and wants you to keep going because you want to see what happens next. So between the watercolors, the pencil drawings, the illustrations that she has, the personal pictures, this is E.B. and his beloved Catherine on their farm, it makes you almost feel like you're part of their family because it's so personal. I loved this story. The book was so beautiful and such a fun insight on E.B. White. I didn't know much about his personal life, just the beauty of the word he conveyed through his writing. But learning about how his poetry gained him recognition from a young age, his lifelong position at the New Yorker, and the simple way he strived to live life was truly touching. I loved how he remained true to his own writing, never caving to the pressure to write what other people wanted him to, but instead writing what he loved. This is the most creative and beautiful biography I have ever seen or read. I truly enjoyed it. I think children would identify with this just because the pictures are just beautiful and they keep you drawn in and want to see what's on the next page. And children can learn that the strength of who they are can accomplish great things. Just like E.B. White, he never strayed from who he was and always pressed forward against anything the critics said. He always knew that his heart knew best at what he wanted. After studying, one thing that children can do, after studying E.B. White, they could certainly watch like children's story Charlotte's Web or watch the movie. And younger children, after watching the movie, could create a spider puppet or even a pig and pretend to tell the story all over again. I hope you enjoyed this biography as much as I have. I encourage you to grab it and just take your time to read through it and enjoy all the beautiful illustrations and the beautiful life that E.B. White lived and the legacy that he has still to this day. Thank you.